How's everyone doing? This is going to be a monstrous horror Blu-ray collection update with 28 pickups right here. And if you've seen any of them, definitely let me know what you think of them and let me know which one of these is your favorite. This is a combined haul. People like to see these kind of hauls where it's just, a really big update. It's basically showing you the horror Blu-rays that I got within the past couple weeks. And I've seen a resurgence of people doing these, monthly hauls where they show, everything they got in the past month. I'm going to get a bunch more movies coming in the rest of this month. So I don't know if I'm going to do a monthly haul for this one because it's going to be just insane. So there's 28 titles here just in the past couple weeks. So let's go ahead and get into it. First up is the Underworld 4K set. I can't believe this is 19 years old since the first one and 6 years old since the last one, and hopefully they'll do some more. There's always room to do more no matter what happens to the characters, but I remember really enjoying these films. I'm looking forward to revisiting them in 4K. It's a really nice addition. I was able to get this for a great deal. It's like, I want to say $117 and on Amazon, and I ended up getting for like 63, and then I sold the code too for like 23, something like that. So a really great deal, and just a awesome vampires versus werewolves, classic tale. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, I recently watched that. It's one of my favorite modern horror comedies. I haven't seen the TV show yet, but I love that one. That one also has some, vampires versus werewolves in there. But really beautiful box set. And I'm not going to talk too much about these. And each one has a slipcover too, because I've already talked a little bit more in depth in the standalone Blu-ray updates that I've done for each one of these titles. So there you go. Beautiful box set, 4K set. And it's great to see more 4K horror releases. Let me know what you'd like to see get the 4K horror treatment next. And let me know what your favorite werewolf movie is and your favorite vampire movie and what ones you consider would be really underrated that deserve more love. For me, Innocent Blood, a vampire movie that I love, that doesn't get enough love. And Vamp, which with Grace Jones, great 80s one. And then for werewolves, I would say some ones that are underrated will be the British Howl, British werewolf movie, really good. Never hear anybody talk about Howl. And then The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is a really unique take on the werewolf genre, but really cool too. One that I love that everybody seems to hate is American Werewolf in Paris. I'd love to see that get a Blu-ray release or a 4K release. But of course, I feel like everybody mentions their top three for werewolf movies: Dog Soldiers, American Werewolf in London, and Silver Bullet. And then for, vampire movies, besides the Universal Monster Dracula and stuff like that, Nosferatu, older, more recent ones, Fright Night, Lost Boys are always in there. But 30 Days of Night is my all-time favorite vampire movie. Barrow, Alaska, the blood pops in the white snow. Just the look to the vampires, just really dirty, gritty, nasty. Their language, Ben Foster's the stranger character. They didn't cop out at the end. But, that sense of isolation too. Love it. And I really want to get the Resident Evil 4K sets. I haven't been able to get that one yet for a good deal. Next up is the Paranormal Activity Ultimate Chills Collection. I did a standalone unboxing video for that. And this one has all the films right here, including Next of Kin. And right now, it's the only way to get Next of Kin. And you see that handprint right there, combined with all the cases lines up like that, which is really cool to see. It makes me think of the old school VHS and DVD one for Nightmare on Elm Street, where we'd line up and create Freddy. And you see other ones doing that too, like Dragon Ball Z used to always do those ones. I never was really into Dragon Ball Z, but I've seen them everywhere. But this one also has a documentary, Unknown Dimension, story of paranormal activity. I'm not a big fan of the first Paranormal Activity movie, but I like a lot of the other movies. I think it's like a mixed bag. I think 2 and 3 were good. Marked Ones is my favorite, and Next to Kin I love. That one gets a lot of criticism, but for me, it's my second favorite in the franchise now. Let me know what your favorite movie in this franchise is outside of the first one, because I feel like most people would pick that. And let me know what your favorite found footage movie is. I'm always critical of the main big two, Blair Witch Project and first Paranormal Activity movies. I don't think they're good movies. I don't think they're scary movies, not even remotely. And everybody says it's all about the marketing. But again, if you were over the age of 5 and you thought a real witch lived in the woods in Maryland, I got a bridge to sell you. That's what I say every time. But I'm thankful because they ushered in a new wave of found footage movies and some really great ones. And there was other ones before, obviously Cannibal Holocaust, Last Broadcast, Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County. a bunch of different ones like that. McPherson tapes, you know, it's all the, you know, different cuts essentially of that one. But some of my favorite ones for found footage movies, the Poughkeepsie tapes, Lake Mungo, Taking of Deborah Logan, which I think is so friggin' underrated. That's like a creepy old people horror movie too, which is, you see a little bit more of that with X and The Visit too in that Shyamalan's movie. But the Wreck movies, Wreck 1, 2 is my favorite from that one. But there's some, Afflicted is one I never hear anybody talk about, which is also a vampire movie. It's not really too much of a spoiler because they kind of, you can tell right, but that's super underrated. So some found footage movies right there. Let me know your favorite and ones that you think are underrated for found footage. But a really nice box set for Paranormal Activity. And the price point is great too. I know some people were complaining because they had like some of the previous editions where it has, you know, almost all the movies or all the movies at that time period. But I think it's definitely worth it, especially for Next to Kin, which was amazing for me. People pay crazy amounts of money to, you know, not even play the movies. You know, a little bit of a tongue twister right there, but to just have them sit in their shelves for movies that I don't think are really worth some of the price points. For I think this is going for like $56 right now for this whole set, which I think is a great friggin' deal. And then you get the documentary too if you're a fan of the franchise. It's a beautiful set. Next up is Scream 2 Steelbook. Let me know what your favorite horror sequel is. This one is actually really good. It's my favorite in the franchise. Let me know what your favorite Scream movie is outside of the first one, because I feel like everybody says the first one. And I feel like the last one, the fifth one, was kind of a missed opportunity to not title it Screams and then have the S be a 5. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the franchise. You know, I heard there's going to be one set in New York, which is pretty cool to me. Kind of, you know, reminiscent of Jason Takes Manhattan. But yeah, I really like the last one. And then this one is, again, my favorite in the franchise. So really nice steelbook for it. 4K steelbook. And next up is, oh, you know what? Let me ask you this while I got you here. I've been talking about Wes Craven a lot. Let me know what your favorite Wes Craven movie is and your favorite underrated Wes Craven movie. Obviously, he's done so many, Last House on the Left, classics, Hills Have Eyes, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream. But he did ones that I, you know, enjoyed that were cheesier and, you know, not as popular. Curse, which is another werewolf movie with Christina Ricci in it, and Jesse Eisenberg and Pacey. But I love that one so friggin' much. It's so crazy. Judy Greer. You got a werewolf giving you the finger in that one. But, you know, Deadly Friend, but also Deadly Blessing. Deadly Blessing, I think, is super underrated. It did a twist that came before another movie that did the same twist that was hugely popular. And then Shocker, I think, is underrated too. People Under the Stairs, I don't think is, but I do think Serpent and the Rainbow is. I didn't used to think so, but now I do because I don't hear it talked about quite as much. But, you know, he also did Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy too. But he's the Swamp Thing, of course. And I know Return of Swamp Thing is getting a 4K release, which is kind of surprising to see that one. But I was hoping for an announcement for, you know, a complete Nightmare on Elm Street collection on 4K. That was rumored before. Scream Factory shot it down. But hoping, you know, maybe they're able to get all the rights and everything. But there you go. Wes Craven, director, you know, horror director legend. Let me know who your favorite horror director of all time is. He's got to be like in the top 5. You think, you know, John Carpenter, Argento, Romero, Fulci you could put in there too. But there's a bunch of great ones out there for sure. Mario Bava, I mean, but Wes Craven's got to be on there. Next up is Who Can Kill a Child, which is my all-time favorite evil killer kid movie. Spanish movie, Island of the Damned, and this is the limited to 1000 edition right here from Mondo Macabra. So just an incredible one. That this is so incredibly underrated. I never hear anybody talk about this one. Only other person I've ever heard talk about it on here is my friend Joe, Martinez Joe 74 on here. We both share this as our favorite evil killer kid movie. And there's some good ones out there. Children of the Dam, Village of the Dam, Good Son too, with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. I put that on there. But, you know, there's one recently called Prodigy that I love the heck out of, but got a lot of mixed reviews. But this is my all-time favorite right here. And you know what? From a Whisper to a Scream has that segment with evil killer kids from the Civil War. Love that one. But such an incredible film. And I love that red case too. It's got a book. It's got art cards and stuff. So like, you know, those reproduction lobby cards. It's got reversible artwork too, which I love the reversible artwork right there. The poster artwork for Island of the Damned. But again, so incredible and so just criminally underrated for a horror movie, and deserves so much more friggin' love than what it gets. But Who Can Kill a Child? I prefer Island of the Damned as the title, but this one really grabs your attention. Next up is The Hidden, not to be confused with The Hidden from, I want to say 2015, with Alexander Skarsgård, and who else was in there? Andrea Riseborough. She was in the Grudge offshoot movie, which wasn't a remake. People were crapping on that movie because they thought it was a remake, but it wasn't. It was actually a really good, creepy movie. But she's been in a bunch of different movies recently. She was in another one that I have right over here off to the side, Possessor. And then of course Mandy, but I think she's really talented. But yeah, not to be confused with that one, which I think is super underrated, only has a DVD release. But this one is from the 80s, has Kyle MacLachlan in it and Michael Nouri. The less you know, the better. They talk about it on here if you watch the trailer. But it's, there's a blurb on here from Robert Ebert. It's, a cross between Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Terminator. That is a great just summary of this movie. People going crazy, killing people that, they don't have any violent records or anything. And you find out more, and there's a crazy stripper character in here who's awesome. But love this one so friggin' much. Very underrated, great release from Warner Archive. X from Ty West. I feel like everybody's favorite, or the most popular Ty West movie is House of the Devil. But for me, my favorite is Innkeepers. This one, to me, I just got it, and I watched it, and I think it's a little overhyped. I think it's a good movie, and one that I will rewatch. I haven't seen Pearl yet. That's the prequel. And then Maxine is coming out. That's going to be the sequel. It's interesting to think that both Pearl and X came out in the same year. But I think it's, another one of those elderly horror movie aspect too, which seems to be popular now. And I like Mia Goth. I like Jenna Ortega. I'm looking forward to seeing her Wednesday. And then Kid Cudi's in here too. The transformation for Mia Goth in here was crazy. Again, I just feel like everybody was just hyping this movie up so much, and it just didn't quite live up to it for me, but I still think it's a good movie. So happy to add that one to the collection. This was like out of print, the regular Blu-ray, and then the slipcover was out of print as well. So I paid a little bit more for it, but happy to get the slipcover. And I feel like this is one of those ones that's probably like next year is going to get like a 4K release. Malignant was the same way, and Malignant, one of my favorite modern horror movies. But we've seen a couple different ones like that where they release a Blu-ray and then a little bit later they'll do a 4K. I feel like that's going to be the same case with X, Black Phone, a few others. But you don't have to buy it if you don't want it. I'm only going to buy it if I'm a big fan, for movies like that, double dipping. There's been a lot of double, triple dipping in a short time period recently. Next up is Rob Zombie's The Munsters. This got a ton of hate. And I think unfairly so. It's not a great movie, but it's not an awful movie. If you are a fan of the original Munsters, it's in that same vein. I think you'll appreciate it. But if you're not a fan of the original Munsters, you're probably not going to like it. I don't think this is going to appeal humor-wise to a lot of younger or modern audiences. So I think that was the biggest thing. It's very true to the campiness and the acting and the humor from the original Munsters series. I know Rob Zombie wanted to make this black and white, but apparently he wasn't allowed to do so. There were some of the specials that were in color too. But yeah, I think a lot of the actors here worked really well, including Sherry Moon Zombie. And it was, it had some fun moments, but I definitely felt it was longer than it should have been, and it felt episodic. Maybe it would have been better as a series. But again, I didn't hate it, and I think the criticism was a little bit unfair. I think people just don't understand the source material kind of for this, like the original series. I don't think they were familiar with it, so they don't, because it's, that's what you, if you were a fan of that, you know what to expect. And if, it was that same kind of stuff. So I didn't hate it. And I feel like I'm one of the only people that feels that way. Into the Deep, which I still haven't seen yet. This looks like it's going to be kind of like an erotic thriller horror kind of movie. Like there's a tryst and suddenly it comes to a culmination of violence. You see some blood right there in the back, and they're on this boat. So they're kind of, again, secluded and isolated. And the one girl has to figure out who's really the killer or the evil person, and who can she trust. So there's a paranoia aspect there too. It looks interesting, and the girls were attractive. So there you go. Next up is the Suspiria remake, which I haven't finished yet. I remember watching it, and then I think I was just too tired to finish it. It was a little bit lengthy, much longer than the original, and I love the original. It's not my favorite Dario Argento movie, but my favorite one is Phenomena. Let me know what your favorite Dario Argento movie is. Deep Red would be 3 for me, but it's great to see a lot of those Argento movies getting the 4K treatment. But I like the cast in here, and there were some creepy moments and great visuals and stuff like that. But I don't know, I just felt like some of the pacing was a little too dramatic for it. But very visually stunning, great cinematography. I'm gonna look forward to revisiting this one and watching it when I'm more wide awake and not late at night. I like watching movies late at night in bed though. Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, Mia Goth, and Chloe Grace Moretz, who's been in a few different horror remakes. This one, Carrie, which I didn't hate. A lot of people hated on that one. I feel like a lot of people unfairly hate on these movies solely because they're remakes. And then, of course, Let Me In, which is a remake of Let the Right One In, which actually, that's a really good movie, but just unnecessary. So she's done 3 horror remakes so far. I think she's a talented actress, though. And next up, we've got Poltergeist and Lost Boys, the kind of big Warner Brothers 4K releases, classics right here. This is, considered a cursed film. The artwork's terrible for this one. I don't really love this one either, but not as bad as this one. This is like one of the worst horror cover arts for recent years that I can think of. Let me know what your least favorite horror cover art is. I feel like they should have gone for the iconic one for both of these. They're so recognizable. If you're gonna do newly commissioned artwork, do better than that. There should be like opinion polls or focus groups. But yeah, this one rough. I remember seeing somebody post that it looks like Coach is on the porch twerking, and that's totally what it looks like. But definitely looking forward to checking these ones out. I've heard great things for their transfer, so that's definitely exciting news. Let me know. I feel like everybody, I saw people posting about it recently, but I mean, this has been a debate for decades. Favorite 80s vampire movie, Fright Night or Lost Boys? Those are usually the top 2. Those, again, I like Vamp a lot. There's a bunch of other ones too. For me, those are the top more popular ones for sure. And I feel like it's a really tough decision, actually. And, Lost Boys are the original sparkly vampires. I think I like Fright Night a little bit better. Next up is American Carnage. I haven't seen this one yet. This is going to be like a social take again, like Get Out and things like that. That's what I've heard some of the comparisons towards. It's about the children of undocumented immigrants, and they have to, they're detained, and they have to help, provide care for the elderly, and then they'll have charges dropped, and then I guess things turn violent. So it says it's a twisted thriller comedy. But yeah, like even that shot right there reminds me of Get Out. But that's what I've heard. It's, trying to be like that with a lot of social political commentary, which another one in that same vein, social political commentary, Antebellum. And I feel like there's been a big wave of that, but there's been, way back for horror movies, as long as horror movies have been around, there's been social political commentary. I remember talking about the Romero Dead trilogy years ago, and people were like arguing with me, there's no social commentary in that, then you're not paying attention. Obviously, so in your face, so overt. But I feel like, ones recently coming out have that more. Even the recent Candyman movie, Get Out, to me is a modern classic. And I really like this one. This one got a lot of criticism. But again, I feel like people are judging it for their, social political beliefs and stuff like that, calling it woke. And I just hate that. People saying that, I don't know, but that just irritates me. But just to write it off and not giving it a fair chance, not appreciating, the actual technical aspects here and how good of a movie it is. This one has great cinematography. I thought it had great tension as well. I've talked about this one before, a little bit more in depth, but I really enjoy this one. And again, if you can handle some of the social political aspects, I would highly recommend it. Not as good as, Get Out or anything like Get Out. Again, modern classic for me. But I do enjoy the heck out of this one. And next up, we've got Blood and Black Lace right here. Oh gosh, look at that cover art. It's so freaking cool. The title, I don't know, it's like kind of hard to see it. You have to catch like the light a little bit right there. Mario Bava, and he did a lot of movies with blood and black in the title. Black Sabbath, Black Sunday, Baron Blood, Bay of Blood. So there's a bunch, but Cameron Mitchell in here, awesome right there. Killing the models. Look at that weapon right there, and then the mask, like the faceless mask, really creepy and awesome. This is an Arrow Video Steelbook, and really awesome release right there. I'd like to see more Arrow Video Steelbooks for sure. That is the UK edition, but it is region free. Next up is Night of the Living Dead. Great horror remake. Let me know what your favorite horror remake is. This one from Tom Savini. I really like the cast in here. Tony Todd's awesome. Patricia Tallman too. Next up is we've got Zombievers. It's exactly what you think it is. This has John Mayer and Bill Burr in here. This is John Mayer's acting debut. It's cheesy, ridiculous, but it's fun for me. Let me know what your favorite cheesy horror movie is, especially like modern cheesy horror. One that I think is deserving more of attention is Bad Milo. I love them. It's a little butt monster. It's so good, though. I feel like nobody ever talks about that one, but such a fun time. This one is cheesy. It's a little rough around the edges, but I enjoyed it. Next up is the Warlock Collection from Vestron Video. I know Earth Girls Are Easier is coming out. I'm looking forward to more releases from them. I feel like we were spoiled initially. We were conditioned to expect so many releases every year. And like a wave came out initially, and then it was just like 1 or 2 a year. But I love the first 2 Warlock movies when I was younger. Armageddon, Julian Sands is so awesome. But I haven't seen the third one yet, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out and revisiting the other 2. Nice slipcover on it. And next up is Happy Birthday to Me. Really good, underrated 80s slasher movie. And I love the slipcover of that retro VHS slipcover from Mill Creek right here. And I love that it has the different artwork underneath. So I feel like I say this all the time for these Mill Creek retro VHS slipcovers. If it was like Scream Factory releasing it, it would be like 3 times the money. It would be like, you know, 25, 30 bucks at least, instead of it being like 10 and under from Mill Creek. So happy to add that one to the collection. Next up is Bliss, which I would kind of put this in like a, you know, new vampire realm. It's a trippy, drug-fueled, sex-fueled, surreal movie, just super psychedelic. This artist who the artwork is actually awesome. She takes this, she's like artist block, and she takes this drug Bliss, and it's just madness after that. Bloody as heck. And this is from Joe Bigos, who is doing a new Christmas horror movie. It's a Christmas, Bloody Christmas, I think it is. And I'm looking forward to checking that one out. He did VFW, which a lot of people loved. It reminded me a bit of Vigilante, but nowhere near as good. Love Vigilante. Wasn't a big fan of VFW. I seem to be the only one. But I love Mind's Eye from him. Really good low-budget horror movie, and Almost Human. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does coming up after the Christmas movie, too. But I'll be checking out anything that he does, essentially, because the only one I didn't enjoy was VFW. I've enjoyed everything else from him, especially this one. But this one has that warning, like same that Poltergeist has on the cover. It's like that strobe-like effect. And this one, though, was, I don't know if I'm just getting older, because I watched the Blob remake recently. There's the theater scene in there, and that one really annoyed me. It was obnoxious, but this was super obnoxious, that strobe light thing. I didn't like it back in the bars and club days when I was younger. I don't like it in my movies. So I just felt it was overdone with that effect and unnecessary. Next up is Bait, Australian shark attack movie. They're trapped in a supermarket, and there's a bunch of sharks. Let me know what your favorite modern shark attack movie is. For me, The Shallows. I love it. Blake Lively, great character-driven shark attack movie. And then, Deep Blue Sea. But the sequels for Deep Blue Sea are terrible. I know a lot of people hate on The Shallows, but I love that one so much. And I know a lot of ones like The Reef people love. And there's a couple other ones that people just really rave about that I wasn't a big fan of. So, and then the Reef sequel too. Ugh. But yeah, this one it's not great, but I still had a fun time with it. I'm looking forward to revisiting it. But Australia has some great horror movies. Next up is a Native American horror movie. You don't have enough of those either. There's a few out there, but this was a mixed bag. Tale of Two Halves for sure, and the ending wasn't great either. I like the build-up initially. It's, kind of like a zombie outbreak. And then it's on a reservation, and Native Americans are kind of immune to it. And then there's, bloody chaos. The second half wasn't quite as good, and then again, the ending, I wanted more from that, but still really good, tense movie and some good acting and kills and stuff in there. But I definitely wanted a bit more from it, but still enjoyable overall and definitely worth at least a one-time watch. I'm going to watch it again because I did enjoy it. Even though it wasn't perfect. Caveats aside on that one, I'd still say check it out. But there needs to be way more Native American horror movies. Wolfen. Not really a werewolf movie, but a really good Native American horror movie that I would recommend checking out. And there's also been other Native American horror movies like Scalps, which I've never seen that one yet, but I do want to check that one out. But Manitou. And if you want to do there's Nightwing, but there's a couple ones that if you want to push, Creepshow 2, even Bone Tomahawk. They're hunting, looking for them, Native American tribe, and then they, at the end you see them, and it's brutal, but I feel like you don't see them too much throughout the movie. So I feel like those kind of ones are a little bit of a push there needs to be more Western horror movies too. Burrowers is another really good one that's, I think, underrated too. But yeah, Prey is the one that everybody's talking about recently, and it's great that it has inclusionary with a female lead of Native American characters, but it just wasn't that good of a movie. It was an average movie. Great cinematography and establishing shots and shooting locations, but even the lead character wasn't that great of a character. I feel like some of the other characters, the brother character, I don't know. I just wasn't my favorite for that one. And the Predator, you don't see that much throughout the movie. I just feel like everybody hyped that movie. That was way overhyped. Just an average movie for me. People were saying it was like the second best Predator movie in the franchise, which is mind blowing. To me, it's the second worst. The only one that it's better than is Alien vs. Predators 2, Requiem, which I think was just a dumpster fire. I would even take the Thomas Jane, the Predator movie that came out a few years ago over Prey, just because that one was just more entertaining to me. But yeah, I would definitely take Predators with Adrian Brody and Topher Grace and Danny Trejo and Lawrence Fishburne, that whole cast, way over that one. I would take Alien vs. Predator way over it. Definitely Predator 2 over it. But to each their own. But Prey, I just feel like it was, nice to see Native Americans and a female lead, but that just doesn't give it a pass on that basis alone. We need more Native American horror movies, but good ones. And this one is definitely now one of the better ones out there, even though it has some issues. Next up is the Universal Monsters Icons of Horror Collection: Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man, and the Wolfman. Let me know who your favorite Invisible Monster character is and your favorite Universal monster movie is. May not be the same. For me, Creature from the Black Lagoon is my favorite character and movie. But some awesome ones right here. I like the digibook style. I know there's going to be another release with more of these movies, but I love the design for these too. And the discs, I know people complain about the discs sometimes, but DVDs were more affected for these digibooks with the rubbing and stuff like that. Blu-ray has that extra coating, sort of 4K. So you don't have any issues with damage to the disc trying to get them out and sliding back and forth. But love the design for this digibook, and I'll go ahead and show you the back shot is really cool too. Wolfman and Invisible Man, and just I love that classic artwork, just iconic. And I remember liking the Abbott and Costello ones as a kid too. I know it takes some of the serious tone and adds it's not just levity, it's just more humor throughout, but I enjoy those movies. I know not everybody does. Hack-A-Lantern, super cheese. This is from Massacre Video. Really nice release, out of print. I think the last one sold for like $80 with the outer slipcase. And even this one goes for like $45 just by itself. Some good special features. It's a ridiculous movie. But I don't know, it's awesome to me. It's a fun time. But it's not going to be for everybody for sure. Cheesy, that sequence right there, that dream, hard rock music video one, and there's the grandpa's crazy. It has the Mac's father from Always Sunny is the lead guy in here, which is crazy in itself. But it's a cheese-tastic movie. I remember seeing the owner of Massacre Video on one of those court TV shows. I don't know if it's Judge Millian. I can't remember who it was, but it was one of those ones, and he brought somebody to court who was uploaded Hack-A-Lantern to Vimeo, I believe, and they had an exchange, and the guy wouldn't take it down, so he brought him to court. And the guy was like, I know my rights, I can put this up here. No, you can't. People pay money for the rights for these movies, and that's why they have these physical media releases and, streaming and stuff like that. But happy to add that one to the collection. Cheese-tastic. Party Line, another ridiculous one that I can't give a wide recommendation to either one of these. Check out the trailers, see if it's, something you might be interested in from that. But again, I have a fun time with this one. Leif Garrett in here, the singer, plays just a crazy role. It's about a brother and sister who there's a party line, and they hookup line essentially. They lure these people to different places and kill them, and they're just crazy. And I love that artwork too. But this is a beautiful release from Vinegar Syndrome. I used to say Vinegar Syndrome, their slipcovers were the best in the game, and their slipcovers were better than the movies that they were releasing. But I can't say that anymore. They have so many good releases. I'm looking forward to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one. I want to pick up the Amityville Horror. There's a bunch that I want to pick up from them now. So they've really stepped up their game. I feel like they used to have a bunch of softcore prawn movies and just a bunch of really rough, low budget stuff that didn't deserve quite as much love that I feel like they were putting into their releases with the slipcovers and special features and transfers. But now they have a ton of great movies. So Vinegar Syndrome just killing it. Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. I'm looking forward to checking out Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I guess Cathedral just never happened, you know? That's what everybody, for years, there was supposed to be the newer Cathedral Jeepers Creepers, but never came to fruition, and now we have a new director, which is great because the old director is just an awful person. I don't think people like that can be rehabilitated. I'm just shocked that after he came out of jail, the first movie he did was Powder. Then he did these movies. I was a fan of these movies before I knew. To me, this is like one of my favorite American slasher movies. And I feel like he deserves a better franchise than he got. The third one was terrible. It should have just been called The Truck. But I'm hoping that the recent one, Reborn, will be good. Can't wait to check that one out. But Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, which one do you like better? I feel like a lot of people like this one better, and this one has Ray Wise. I was able to do a phone interview with him a long time ago, which was really cool. But it has more of the backstory, and I think that's kind of, it's fun, more action-paced than this one. But I still think this one, to me, is just a better movie by far. It is creepy. I remember watching this when I was younger, and it creeped the heck out of me. This was like a go-to movie in college. When I had a girl over, I put this one on, and, you snuggle up and, protect her, and, when it came on. But yeah, some great creepy scenes in here. If you are a fan of this movie, let me know what your favorite scene is in here. So many great ones, but love the heck out of this one. I think the Creeper is an iconic character, and again, one of my favorite modern American horror movies. Let me know what your favorite post-2000 horror movie is. Next up are two Severin releases, which Severin is another great label releasing movies. I feel like, you got Arrow Video, Scream Factory are kind of like the top two, and, Kino's releasing a bunch more, but you got Vinegar Syndrome, of course, too, and then Severin and Synapse. So there's a bunch of different companies out there, but yeah, I'm excited for seeing more releases from Severin too. They always do a great job with their transfers and special features. I like the black cases too, and sometimes they have slipcovers. I didn't love this one. This was like a video nasty. It has two crazy violent scenes, which are usually cut in a lot of the releases, but it's not cut here, obviously. But video nasty, that was banned for a lot of countries, but take those scenes out. This movie's kind of boring. It drags the pacing. It's about a crazy cannibal attacking people on a Greek island. Two crazy scenes. The rest of the movie just it doesn't live up to the hype for me. From Joe D'Amato, who of course did Boo Omega. He's considered to be like one of the more popular Italian horror movies, but probably outside of the top 5, really. Not in the same realm of, Argento, Fulci, names like that, a bunch of others. But yeah, so, Beyond the Darkness, Boo Omega, I feel like is probably his best one. And Absurd, which is a sequel to this one. You've got the crazy boogeyman back again, the Greek boogeyman, and, it's him in America now. And it says, he's killing nurses and butchering babysitters and stuff like that. And it says it has some of the most insane splatter scenes in Italian gorehound history. There we go. I guess they can always do something, right? You look at Michael Myers, he turned into the Terminator at the end of Halloween Kills. Because at the end of this one, it's like, how does that work, considering how this one ends, for him to come back? But I guess they can do anything, really. But haven't seen this one yet. Looking forward to checking it out, but kind of disappointed in this one. Let me know what your favorite video nasty movie is, and your favorite Italian horror director, and your favorite Italian horror movie. So there you go. Those are the 28 pickups. Forget any, verbal flubs. Just kind of, I'm parched already with my mouth. Just kind of trying to, do this in one take. And again, I've talked about these movies more in depth in the standalone updates and some standalone unboxing reviews and stuff like that. So check out those previous videos already. But look forward to probably another monster haul update like this, at the end of the month as well, because I do plan to get a bunch more releases. I watch horror movies and collect horror movies all year round, but I ramp it up more during October, spooky season, because there's a lot more releases too. So many great horror movies getting the Blu-ray and 4K treatment coming out. So very excited to get a whole bunch more stuff. A lot of things that I want to pick up. Orphan Kills is another one. I want to get Return of the Living Dead on 4K. There's so many. Let me know what you're excited for as far as horror on Blu-ray and 4K that's coming out soon. Leave me those comments down below. Leave me all those comments that I mentioned down below. Let me know if you've seen these ones and which one was your favorite from this monster haul. Thank you again for all the support here. I really do appreciate it. And check out my 31 days of Halloween playlist, where I'm uploading all of the videos and putting on the playlist so you can check it out if you're interested. And again, hope everybody's doing well. Take care and keep it spooky.